What's going on, people? Welcome to United View. Welcome to another transfer view, man. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys are good. Happy Friday. It is Friday, man. Big up to you guys. The transfers are going on. The rumours are rumouring. England are doing England things. Southgate is doing his best to keep up his appearances as Southgate, as Owen will be pleased. Owen's been following the progress of this England team and this Gareth Southgate conundrum in midfield. And, you know, I've seen Owen sort of reacting to it and, you know, on social media and here on the channel. And I just want to big up Owen on his coverage of England. He's been very honest and very spot on with his predictions.
Absolutely disgraceful. Poor, and I mean poor.
I want to
Absolutely woeful. Absolutely woeful.
And the way Owen's covered it, I think he's done really well. I think he's done well to dissect what's going on in the England team, come up with solutions, you know, what Gareth Southgate should do. And he's been really supportive because at the end of the day, England haven't lost. You know, as the players said, there's no easy games in international football, as Harry Kane says, as Kyle Walker said, not just going to go out there and win 3-4-0.
Excuses.
But we didn't lose the game, and that's the main thing. When you can't win the game, you make sure you don't lose the game. And now we've got to play Slovenia. We're all but secured for getting through to the next round, the knockouts, and I'll make a few tweaks and we'll be fine.
I've heard enough.
I don't want to get angry this morning. I had enough of that yesterday. I was very upset, very annoyed, but not wrong. You know, before the game, I said, "Oh, probably 1-1." You know, I went with the head and the heart prediction. You know, the heart goes, well, you know, England should win today, 2-1, maybe like that. But reality, probably 1-1, something like that. Yeah. Don't win 2 games in a row, the first 2 games at tournament ever. Gareth Southgate. But, you know, then I thought to myself afterwards, I went, well, if only we had Calvin Phillips. You know, that's you know,
that's what's missing.
Yeah, exactly. You know, we don't have a natural replacement for Calvin Phillips,
and also if only we'd worked on our tactics before we actually got to the tournament instead of trying out new experiments on the day.
You know, just didn't
try new things though.
He said I've been trying to work out this conundrum for 7 or 8 years.
Yeah.
Sorry, 7 or 8 years. Maybe the job's not for you then. If you can't figure that one out after 7 or 8 years, what is this? Is this an Einstein theory we're putting together here on a chalkboard? You know, what are we doing? Honestly.
But there is loads of Manchester United news. I promise you that. So let's get into that. Branthwaite transfer could be off, apparently. Don't know. New bid unlikely. Manchester United looking to walk away. The Craig David settings, they're not going to be held to ransom. They're not going to get involved in a bidding saga. That's what we want to see. Southgate's Rashford mistake as well in terms of his brother. Rashford's brother's been on social media active, because I was thinking when I saw Rashford trending a little bit, I thought, what's going on here? But I thought he's off social media. I don't think he would have jumped back on when England have played shit. And then you see who it was. It's his brother. So we have got a lot to get into here, Owen.
Yes, we do. Beginning with Jarrad Branthwaite. And we spoke about this quite a bit recently, haven't we? Saying that this deal could be used as a statement by Ineos for a variety of different factors. One being the example of how good they are at negotiating to get a price down. And also, it could be an example of how they're willing to walk away from a deal if it's not the right price. Dharmesh Sheth from Sky Sports tweeting yesterday that Manchester United won't be drawn into a long-running saga over Jarrad Branthwaite. They're unlikely to go back unless there are assurances Everton will reduce the price. If United feel there's no room for negotiation, they will move on. Lille's Lenny Yoro is among other targets. It continues on by saying, this actually comes from the Muppeteers, big up James, says Manchester United have made it clear to Everton that they want to know in the next 24 to 48 hours whether they're willing to lower their price for Jarrad Branthwaite and reach a compromise. It's also been reported by iPaper Sport that Everton are actually growing increasingly confident of keeping Branthwaite. There is an unwillingness at Manchester United to raise their bid. Now, I think that probably last bit's maybe a bit far-fetched. I think United are happy to raise the bid from £35 million. I don't think there's an expectation that, you know, United are going to get him for that price. But there is a kind of hard line for Manchester United to say, look, our limit is maybe 50, 55, something around that number. And if you're not willing to come down, if you've got still what we perceive to be unrealistic expectations of 70 million, 80 million, then why bother? And you know what? I am glad to hear that. I'm glad to see that, because that's something that we have all said, isn't it? Of going, well, if that's their number, 80 million, don't bother. Like, let's not,
See you later, mate.
not even get
No problem.
let's not even get involved and begin this whole back and forth. And
Thanks
that
for the
itself
quote.
is the difference.
See you later.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's like shopping around for your insurance for your car. You know, I just put the things in the price comparison website or whatever, or go directly to the insurer. And sometimes you get stupid quotes, like really stupid ones where you go, well, obviously I'm not paying that. And you go, all right, no problem. Just leave, mate. Just go somewhere else. Go shop somewhere else. So, and this is the thing. I feel like, because the Jarrad Branthwaite thing as well with the 80 million, he's not, I know he's worth that to Everton and they say he's this good and stuff like that, but he's a young kid, man, still coming up. Like, he's not the finished article. And to go to Man United, I think he's all right. I think he's all right. I still don't get the, I tell you if it's him next to Leacher, whoa, yeah, we're sorted. I don't feel that with Branthwaite. I question what it would be like for him to step up. You know, he is a decent player. I'm not saying he's rubbish. But I'm just not sure about that step up. When you're in that Everton defense, yes, they had the second best defense in the league, I think, or third, one of like really high up there with clean sheets. You know, that's a Sean Dyche thing. I remember looking at Harry Maguire, and again, sins of the past, in that Leicester setup. You know, when they're not on the front foot, you know, they're very compact. You know, you've got Mikalenko at Everton, you know, tucked into Branthwaite here. You know, Tarkowski next to you there. Onana's not too far ahead of you there. We're all right. It's a Sean Dycheism. This is how we play. You know, it's really
going long. By the way, Pickford
going
goes long.
long.
It's not they're not playing out from the back, are they?
100%. Like the demands placed on you are just not what they are at Everton versus at Man United. It's just how it is. Like, a lot of players could do well in that system with Sean Dyche and playing in that manner with how Everton play ball. That's not what we're trying to do here. And I'm not saying he can't play. I'm not saying he's got 2 left feet. You know, he's both footed. Looks quite comfortable, but it's a different demand. And I'm still not 100% convinced that he's got it. I'll be honest, and especially with the money, like.
That's the key
level
part of
of
it.
money.
That's the key part of it.
No chance.
Because some people would say, well, when he was at PSV and Ruud van Nistelrooy, wasn't he? And Ruud van Nistelrooy looks like he's going to become the Burnley manager, and he does play a quite sort of possession-based football, playing out from the back. So people say, well, it's not as if he can't do it. Let's not say that he can't do it in that regard, but from what we've seen maybe in the Premier League, that part of the adaptation process, we don't know. And the key point is, to your point there, not necessarily about whether he can or he can't do it. It's the price, isn't it? It's the price versus the ability, the experience, what you're getting for that that value for money. That's really the key part of it. And again, I do see that as I mentioned it before. I mean, look, this still very much happen. This is still part of the negotiation process. You know, we've all heard it and seen it before with not just Manchester United deals, but plenty of other deals in the past. Of, well, okay, then we'll walk away. We'll go elsewhere, and then, wouldn't you know it, suddenly a compromise is reached and suddenly everyone's happy and the player ends up going to the club. So this one still could possibly happen, no doubt about that. But I think it's Ineos do have to, for some deal, whatever deal it is this summer, they almost have to walk away from one to make a statement to these clubs that, this is a different regime. It's not going to be the same. We're not going to be... held to ransom for lots of players. Just because we're the big bad Manchester United and we've got lots of money, that doesn't mean we're going to overspend or overpay anymore. And if it's not right, we're not locked in or wed to one target anyway. Because that's the problem in the past that Man United have had. The only work they've done is on this player, this signing. We had earmarked, we're going to sign this guy. And then when we came into troubles of negotiations, we went, well, what do we do now? Because we haven't really thought of anyone else. We haven't done work on anyone else. So it's just got to be this guy. And then sometimes in the case of people like Anthony or others, we walk away. It's almost like that thing of like, when, I don't know, you're doing like, let's say you're on the phone to like Virgin Media or Sky and you go, right, I'm ripping up my contract. I don't care. I'm walking away. And then you do this game of chicken and you go, I really don't want it.
Right, Owen. Don't reveal the secrets, mate. They could be watching it.
and then they go, all right, then, and you go, all right. And then you're sort of getting close to it. All right, yeah. And then sometimes you have to go through with it. Sometimes you have to go, hang on, and you go,
got those guys.
Got to call them back.
But usually, what you're saying though is they go, well, we have got this deal for 18 months where you get 40% off of the HD packages, or you get
You can get
half
something.
price this. For you get something.
What's that? What's that? Denzel Washington thing goes, I'm leaving it with something. All right, yeah, that's what it
exactly.
is. I'm leaving it with something. And but the point being is, like with the Manchester United, with that analogy, is sometimes they have walked away going, yeah, but that's not really our only target. Whereas that, I don't think that is the case this time. Legitimately, it does look like there are other targets, and as we've said too, the centre back market's actually all right this summer. There are actually quite a lot of options available. It's not as if sometimes when it's like we're going for a striker, well, who's there to get? Now, I don't know about that. Whereas centre backs now, it does feel like there is multiple targets. I still don't know if the one that we end up getting would be Lenny Oro. I mean, the expectation still is he's going to Real Madrid and he's waiting for Real Madrid. So I don't know about that one, but if Manchester United deem that it's too much, the price isn't right, then they should walk away, and that'd be the right thing to do. And what would happen with Everton then, when it pertains to this June 30 deadline, if it exists, versus
leave it to them to sort out.
Exactly. If it does exist, they've got 9 days to do something. If it doesn't exist, then they're calm and they're happy about it anyway. So we'll see how real it all is.
Yeah, Tabara says, if Owen and Flex had a chapter in the Bible, best believe it'll be 908. Bless up all. Enjoy the weekend. Glory, glory, Man United. Southgate out. Sorry, glory, glory, UV. Glory, glory, United View. Not glory, glory, Man United. Always GGMU as well, though, by the way. MXG has been a member for 19 months. Says Ineos need to go and get Guehi. Listen, I was thinking about the Guehi thing. And there's pros and cons for Guehi. I would rather him than Branthwaite. However, with Guehi, there is still like the comfortability on the ball. Like he's aggressive, and like he can. I like how he initiates the contact, and you can bail him, so he can cover the grass. Like that level of covering, I think is needed for Lissandro. If we want him to up it and start playing more, I'm not sure. I think with no pressure. Yeah, he did well. He did well.
He had a bit where he made a mistake and he recovered really well.
Yeah, exactly. So the recovery.
But even that was Declan Rice was a bad pass as well.
It was a dodgy pass. He didn't really want it there. And he did well in the first 2 games. He's been the one who's had some level of consistency. He's done really, really well. And I'm taking into account that it's his first time at senior level. He's really young, and he's not going to be across that back four. I'm expecting Stones to get a hold of it and say, "Oh, you here now? This, that." Trips, maybe a bit more vocal. You got Deck just ahead of that and stuff. It's not really happening in that England team. So the execution of the game plan of whatever Southgate's trying to do is awful. So a lot of them are hung out to dry anyway. You've got some asking for it feet, some want to go long. They ain't got a clue, and all the players basically said Harry Kane basically said that in the thing. So I'm taking into account that it's his first and second game. He ain't going to want to make no mistakes. There was a lot of protection going on in the midfield, at the centre backs. So I was looking at us yesterday, and I'm going, Guehi, that's your man. Push Rice on so he can go to the midfielder there. He's dropping in there to sort of protect you. Trippier, you can come in there. There's the rotation of passing on the men of the accountability to be in 1v1 wasn't there. There was just a lot of protection, but I'm not going to blame Guehi for that because he's new into the squad. He ain't going to go, Deck, I've got this. You F off. Go on. Like he's just going to play.
Bad for him because he was. Yeah, they were almost pinned back by their own midfielders to an extent yesterday because they were so deep, and I was so glad to see that they showed that graphic of England before they scored versus after they scored. Because just, when you watch the game, you go,
you can see it
massively. And you go, but you sometimes want to see the sort of graphical evidence of it too. And that was the case. I mean, they parked the bus after 20 minutes against Denmark. What? So just to go back to Guehi, I think he's done well. I do think he's done well. I thought he recovered quite well. Once again, you do have now an element of sympathy because he's in, as is always the case, an England team at a tournament that's starting to falter and now struggling to deal, I guess, with the expectation of everything too. But he's an option. I mean, as we've said before, Palace probably will have a couple of outgoings. So by the time we get around to Guehi, will they have to sell or they want to sell with the way they ended the season? I think there's probably a hope that actually they can have a really positive one with Glasner as the coach too. They were playing some excellent stuff. They're one of the most informed teams in the Premier League, weren't they? So I would think that they're hoping that, right, this is going to be a big season for Crystal Palace. And if that is the case, are they going to be happy to get rid of a lot of people, maybe people that hadn't earmarked? They'd probably earmarked that Elise was going to go, maybe Eze, but I probably would assume they hadn't earmarked that Guehi would be a name that was going to be going in the summer.
Yeah, and then maybe, you never know, though. It could be the other way around, where, like you said, the Elise thing happened, he ended
They
up
all
staying,
stay.
or
Yeah,
Eze stayed, and then it is Guehi that did go. You just the transfer window is unpredictable, isn't it? But JD Carmelo's been a member for 21 months as well. Big up to you, JD Carmelo. Hope you're doing well. Maybe you guys can join the membership at any point. Just click the membership button, get your exclusive perks, be part of the community. Big up to you guys. And use your perks just by subscribing, by the way. You got a voice in the chat. Night First says Denmark was better yesterday. They're the ones who should be more disappointed with that draw because they should have won. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. John James says Old United would pay 100 million for a player worth 40 and give the extension, and they go for free. This needs to stop big time, 100%. And Lamino 99 says I'm not Guehi is the answer, but could be a good squad player. Yeah, listen, he won't make our team worse if he comes to it. If he comes to our team, we would be better. Whether it's, like you said, depth or has to fit in here or play, we would be better. But is he the answer? I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that.
Is it the answer to this? It's not even.
Answer the right answer centre back.
Right. Is he the answer to centre back? Is he the answer to the centre back issue?
Yeah,
we're gonna have those conversations all season.
Honestly, because it'd be interesting to see who we get. Right, let's get on to Southgate making a Rashford mistake and what's happened here and what's the consensus here.
Well, as you mentioned, after the game yesterday, Marcus Rashford was trending. As to be fair, after every game, he sort of trended a little bit with the discussion of, I could have done with bringing a Rashford on here, couldn't you? Well, his brother and his agent took to social media yesterday after the game on his Instagram story and said the following: "It's hard to sit and watch when you honestly believe your man could make a difference." And I suppose the question is, Flex, did you watch the game yesterday and think to yourself, hey, Marcus Rashford could have made a difference, bringing on Rashford? I mean, the discussion before, he wasn't picked for England was that, yes, he's been rubbish this season. And I think it was the right call not to take him, in the sense for him, a wake-up call for him. But for England,
in the wider scheme, he should have went.
Yeah, but more like for England, he has delivered. At the last World Cup, he was good, but at the same time, he was in very good form in general at the last World Cup, wasn't he? So
yeah, I see it as listen, I stick by it, like you said, for Rashford in terms of the wake up. It's for our selfish reasons, yeah. From a Manchester United perspective and us as fans, we're like, you had a terrible year. You need to get your head right. You need to understand that that's why you didn't make the cut, and you got a lot of thinking to do to bounce back from this. So hopefully you get your head right, you work really hard, you knuckle down, and that never happens to you again. And it's Project World Cup for you to get in that squad in a couple of years, right? As well as qualifiers and Nations League or whatever other shit games England got to play before the next major tournament. So from that standpoint, I was like, yeah, damn right, he doesn't deserve to go. But as soon as the squad was announced, and I was like, yeah. In the days afterwards, even before the tournament, you're thinking, you're like, hang on a minute. A rubbish Rashford off the bench, to me, I'll be honest, can still give me a better moment and stuff than Anthony Gordon, for me. Like, Anthony Gordon's been playing well, and look, shock, Southgate won't even use him already. But for me, Rashford, if you ask Rashford to come off the bench and do something in England for England, he can run. We're seeing players who can't run. We're seeing play like that way towards the goal. Everyone wants to come feet. It's lopsided. I knew that Foden thing, just shoehorning him into the left, was just never going to work. Yes, Anthony Gordon can give you that direct. He's a bit of a fizzy pop as well. Sometimes end product not there, but he's direct. But we're lacking that. So, and Rashford definitely would give you that. But listen, as a selfish point of view, I want him to get the wake up call in it. And to be honest, with this England team, of course, I'm English and I want us to do well, but essentially, I'm like, it's your own faults. Like, that you look at us, we're shit anyway. Like,
I think
rather Rashford just rest and get fit.
Yeah, with the season that he's had, and again on the pitch, but also off of it, again thinking from his point of view, Would it be best for him to be caught up in all of this now England negativity? Probably not in reality. And I still
Be even worse.
I still stand by. He does need that wake-up call. And it's not as if, again, Rashford's been in so poor form all season. Even but for England, I remember he scored a goal against Italy at Wembley, which was a really good goal. But with Rashford, the current state that he's sort of been in more recently, I'm more like, I don't know what he would be really offering again in that team. There's no cohesion, no tactics. I mean, the difference, and maybe this is really chalk and cheese, but I watched obviously the Spain game last night too, and their balance, that team is perfectly balanced, particularly when they're moving forward. On the wings, they've got Yamal on one side, they've got Williams on the other. Again, they're both cutting inside, but it's perfectly balanced. The midfield free, you've got Pedri, you got Rodri, you got.
But they're also quick and will go past people.
Yeah, exactly.
Easy, leave them behind.
Was it Fabian Ruiz? They've got. I mean, again, they are
Wicked.
they've got a perfectly balanced.
We have
team.
to play them.
Oh my god. So again, they've got perfectly balanced that team, and again, particularly with their wide players and playing through the middle, it was brilliant. And they were, and to be honest, I was stunned that it was only 1-0, and Italy actually could have maybe towards the end nicked something.
Yeah,
but watching England, again, it's not surprising.
What are you saying? What, Morata? What are you saying?
No, that is the one player you're watching in that team. You go feel a bit out of place here, to be honest. I mean, he put.
He's all right, mate. Wicked ball. Nico Williams just scored, mate.
But that is maybe the one thing that might let him down. Because, like I said, you watch that game. It was old school Spain domination, like 70% possession.
Mate, there's only 2 more people who scored more than him at Euros, mate.
And then it was like, but it was still kind of 1-0. And the only thing that you would criticize him in that game was that it got to like 75 minutes and they ended up taking off like 5 players. And then Italy got back in the game. You had to almost like remind them, like, it's only 1-0. They're still in the game. They didn't just kill it off. But to compare it back to England, putting Rashford in there, I think it's, again, I think it's best that he's just not there at the moment for him. But all the negativity that's surrounding him.
I just want to see what the consensus in the chat is and what you... Marcus Rashford's better than Anthony Gordon, though, isn't he? Like, just as a well, I know
has been for England
season. Yeah, no, but just, I mean, let's Rashford.
Well, what version? What version of Rashford? That's the problem. We don't know.
When Rashford's like just okay, like as being normal, like he's better than Anthony Gordon.
What's normal for Rashford?
Wait, what are we doing? Hang on a minute. Just Marcus Rashford.
I'm not saying Marcus Rashford isn't better than Gordon, but I'm saying you're saying Marcus Rashford is better than Anthony Gordon, and I'm saying the problem is with Marcus Rashford. You have no idea which version of Marcus Rashford is going to show up at the moment. Marcus Rashford being average Marcus Rashford, yes. Marcus Rashford being his best Marcus Rashford, yes. But at the moment, the argument could be made Anthony Gordon is much more consistent than Marcus Rashford, and you know which Anthony Gordon's going to show up
this season. He has.
But
he's only been doing it for 2 years. Wait,
let's be honest. Flex, we'd be bringing. If you brought Marcus Rashford on right now in the Euros, don't tell me that you wouldn't be like, well, I don't know what's going to happen with Rashford today.
Yeah, because he's been off this season. He's had a shit season, 100%. But a major tournament, I'll still rather have him than
but that's
Gordon.
Not just this season as well. Again, we have to look at Marcus Rashford's career. And it goes like this. It goes like, I mean, in the last 3, if you look at the last 3 seasons, it's been terrible season, amazing season, terrible season. And that really kind of sums him up, isn't it? And this is meant to be getting into his peak time.
Hold on. Anthony Gordon's all round now better than Rashford.
Like, when did I say that?
No, not you. No, I'm all right. The chat. It's fit. Hang on. Wait, guys.
And weren't you the same person praising Gareth Southgate for picking people based on form and
Correct.
going?
I'm not saying. I just said for his my reasons as a Man United fan, he's been terrible. He needs his wake up call. Shouldn't have gone. I agree with that. I'm just saying. I'm talking about just away from who should have gone right now. I'm talking about just as a player, who's better.
Yeah, but my point is with Marcus Rashford, that's a really difficult one to answer because as a player, there's like loads of different versions of Marcus Rashford. You don't know which one you're going to get. And I agree with you for England. His record for England is good, and even this season it has been good. So the argument definitely could be made. Well, you've used him before. He's delivered for you in tournaments before. So if he was there, would you be more comfortable bringing him on? Perhaps. because he's played at big tournaments before and he scored goals at tournaments before. I'll give you that one. But what we can't do is rewrite history and be like, oh, yeah, we'd be getting peak Marcus Rashford, bringing him on at the moment, because we've seen him this season. We have seen him this season.
No, so he might not be in his. I get that. That's what I'm talking about. He's not in his best moment, so his head's gone. You don't know what. I get that in this now. I'm just saying, just the state, like just the player for player, just take everything into account of what they've done in their career, who they are, what they're capable of doing, who they are. Is Rashford better than Anthony Gordon? I need to just yes or no. Can we do your thing, one or two? Just overall, just take it all in. Take Rashford's inconsistencies that he's had in his career. Take Anthony Gordon that he's only been at this level for like 1 year.
Well,
like take it all.
Comparison then, and that's a difficult comparison then, isn't it?
That's what I'm saying. So who's better? I just want to know.
If they're both playing at their best, Marcus Rashford is better. If they're both playing at their best, yeah.
If they're both playing at their worst, who's better?
Well, I don't watch Anthony Gordon that much. I couldn't tell you. Marcus Rashford at his worst, you might as well not have him on the pitch, Flex. Then you will have 10 men.
You don't try, yeah. Okay.
And what I would say at the worst, Anthony Gordon will run. That's the difference. Marcus Rashford won't. He'll do the fake jog or whatever.
So can we do that? Can we do that?
And on top of that, it's with international football. As people were praising Gareth Southgate for, it's not about that. What have you done for me lately? Lately? Anthony Gordon this season deserves to go over Marcus Rashford.
Yes, and that's what I'm not saying. Like, I'm not saying it's a disgrace. Like, I don't mind that. I just wanted to just step back from just this Euros thing and just go back and just like overall, Anthony Gordon left, Marcus Rashford right, not on the pitch. I mean, in my hand. Like, who's better? Like,
I guess they're both at their best. Then you would have Marcus Rashford, but we're already doing asterisks there.
But he's had a better season than Rashford, but he's not a better player than him.
If they're both at their best, if they're both at their best. But although with Anthony Gordon, in fairness, we haven't really seen what his best could be. He's still very young, isn't he? In that case, but yeah, if they're at their best, Marcus. I mean, look, Marcus Rashford was at his best last season. He got over 30 goals in all comps. That shows you. I mean, until Anthony Gordon does that,
do you think he will in his whole career?
Anthony Gordon, you never know. I mean, honestly, Flex, a year ago of Anthony Gordon, I was cussing out Newcastle for signing him. I thought he was shit. And then this season he was better. So I don't know what his ceiling is. But yeah, the biggest problem with Rashford's
in the chat,
isn't it?
Can we do what do you do? One for and this is just overall, not who's had a better season or who deserves the Euros. Can we have overall who's the better player, taking everything into consideration?
If they're both at their best.
If they're both at their best. 1 for Rashford, 2 for Gordon.
Yeah, I think there'll be a lot of ones. I think Rashford at his best, because like you said, best last season, scores all those goals. He was terrific last season. But
I still think Rashford at his worst would give us more than him at his worst.
I don't know. Rashford again. We've seen Rashford at his worst this season. Flex, we have. And
England though, he ran around. I still, and this is big cake because he's been in big tournaments.
That's terrible. Then if at his worst, then he'd run around for England, but he won't do it for Man United.
Absolutely. So I could just see him doing it though. I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying that I agree. Like I'm happy about that. I just think right now, if we bought on Rashford, he's like, this is how Rashford I think thinks. This is just my opinion. Yeah, shit season 4. Remember when he was mash up his back, and all that, and he just really wanted to get to camp though, England camp. He wanted to be in it.
Yeah.
If he was in that now, I think he'd run around. I think he'd come off the bench against Serbia. He'd come off the bench against last night against Denmark, and he'd make loads of runs in behind. He'd be effective.
I think he would. Isn't that the problem as well? Though that's the problem, is that he's got to be up for it. There isn't a baseline level with that. You know what I mean? And I agree with you, because it's an international tournament. You can't run it in an international tournament, then you really don't deserve to be there at all. But it's just, I think also with him at the moment, again, in that team, with how that team's playing, with that coach, we have seen it this season, like, because there have been games with Rashford where for 20 minutes, he looked a bit like the old Rashford, and then just a bit of negativity, and then he just goes, "Oh no!" The head goes down, and the shoulders get that, and he starts going like this, that, and then suddenly he gets, and it's just, again, you'd be bringing Rashford on out of hope, not expectation. You'd be bringing him on, going, "Well, I hope we're going to get the Marcus Rashford today of last season," because as United fans, we've had that all season. When we see him in the starting 11, we go, "Well, I hope today
You don't know what you're
Rashford's going to
get,
be, Rashford. I hope. When
Well,
he
look at the
comes on,
final. The final, we
yeah,
went.
and he was all right in the final. He played well in the final. He did, obviously, with the switch, great ball, and maybe that's to your point that you're saying there. If it's a big game and he's motivated,
He
then
proves he
maybe
does
that's
it.
maybe that's
And it
what it's
is,
going
and
to
you know
be.
what Mark said there? Mark Paul said that weak mentality. Yeah, it is. It is. Like it is. It is weak mentality. But for some reason, the evidence also shows us with Rashford is that he can do just that. Like just tap in for this weird one-off time or a couple of games or in moments during games where he runs or he cuts in or because he's athletic and he's quick and he can, you know what I mean? So we were all fearing the worst, saying he basically shouldn't have started that final. No chance that we said he should have started that final.
That's what I was saying before
We
the
all
final.
said
I was
it.
going, Ahmad, yeah.
And we was like, nope, no chance. And it was like, Eric went, no, it's final, mate. It's Man City. He has to play. Don't care what's happened this season. It's Rashford. He has to play. And to be fair to Rashford, he did it. Yeah, he did it. Where are we at for likes? Where are we at? Hang on a sec before we do that. Lil Yo-Yo says, Southgate's such an innovator. Phillips is so good. We should sign him from City to partner mainly. Southgate's tactics are so good. Should be the Man United manager. I mean, when he said that, well, I was just about to say it blew my mind. It didn't actually. It didn't. And look, me and Owen we've had our Southgate things, and listen, I try to wind Owen up about Southgate all the time, just because it's funny. I just like doing it because of the way how he articulates himself about how Southgate is. I just find it entertaining. I like seeing Owen do that, so I will say things, but make no mistake, I share Owen's opinion wholeheartedly. And I said many times throughout this, when I was looking like I was back in Southgate, so I said, he can't be our manager. Let's stop being silly here. I'll have a laugh, but then there's a time to pull back. And you just see every deficiency. This Trent Alexander thing in central midfield is the worst thing, one of the worst decisions I've seen in management in years. Major tournament to do this experiment. And again, to be fair, even I've proved myself wrong because I was like, well, against the lesser teams, he'd probably get away with it. I thought that
pissed me
off. It's the Roy Keane thing where he goes, no chance, mate. He ain't gonna last 5 minutes in there. And you could just see there were times where like he wouldn't move to receive the ball in midfield. It's all about angles that he creates, try and receive the ball. Do you want to get on it? So he's redundant. So he's redundant in build up. Completely redundant in build up. Trent is, unless someone sits off and we get hit that little diags that he does, the little switcher play. Completely redundant in build up. Can't get on the ball. Can't get on a half turn. Can't sniff danger and get back the pitch. Leaving Rice on an island, so he's got to do everything. Then you've got Jude up there in this 10 position where I said it before. I said it so many times, and people think I'm hating on Jude. Of course not. He's fucking unbelievable. But this is what I was arguing with Robbie on the first after the first game. It was Jude who actually saved us in the first game by dropping that deep to power through midfield and play as an 8, and vacate that 10 because he can do everything. He knows when to arrive in the box because he's fit enough and powerful enough to do it. He's a specimen of the footballer. But we're wasted. Jude is not technically sound like in that pocket, like half turn, pop it off me, get it back. Like he's not a cheat. I don't see him as that guy. I think he's more than that. So especially in this England team, when you got Trent there, and Jude, I tell you what, yesterday he should come off. He was knackered.
Yeah, it's just again like, and this is the annoying thing sometimes when you talk about Gareth Southgate and this kind of stuff is you like you said, I've talked about it a lot. And then you get the thing of like, don't be negative. And even after the game yesterday, I am so sick to the teeth of the media and their coverage of Gareth Southgate and the sort of real sort of, soft, was it cotton wool gloves of just being like, we're not going to really talk about that. They'll pinpoint individual players. He said they'll have I feel bad for Trent. I actually do, because he shouldn't be in there. He shouldn't be put in midfield. It's like you said, it's tactics and even that whole thing of why get away with it against the lesser clubs in the group stage. I'm sorry. Again, I didn't realize that, Serbia and Denmark were terrible And again, we're assuming that we're just going to glide past teams, which we've never done under Gareth Southgate. When have we done that? And it's arrogance. It's arrogance from Gareth Southgate. It's arrogance from us as the England fans, just to be like, oh yeah, it's fine. We'll beat Serbia. We'll beat Denmark. Whatever. Because our record at international tournaments is so great. Particularly European championships are so great that we'll just go past them. It's arrogance, as I mentioned, from the media. Once again, before the tournament, going, well, it's now or never for England. Now or never. If they don't win it now, I don't know. If they don't win it this tournament, Flex, then they never will because they're the clear favourites. They're clear. Come on, have you watched us play? It's not as if going into this tournament we're flying past when we played Belgium or Brazil, beating them 5-0 or something like that. That's not the case at all. And then you see that, and you see the dross, and you see. Again, Trent not really having a clue because he's a right back. If I'm a midfielder, I'm in that squad and I'm not on, this whole thing about Cobby, well, he is sort of young. We want to be careful. Guy just scored an FA Cup final. He got man of the match. He ran the show in the FA Cup final. Let's not pretend that he doesn't have enough experience or he doesn't have the capability to play, and in front of him is a right back playing in midfield. It's madness, absolute madness. And it's the same. And then you get the media start picking out players. And I get it. Look, once you cross the right line, you said it before, there's still a responsibility on the player. They've still got to deliver. They've still got to be able to pass the ball. The same way that Eric Ten Hag can't tell a player to pass the ball 5 yards, Gareth Southgate can't too. I'm totally on that. But again, as I said all the way through the season, and I'll say it now again, when you're the manager and you have those kind of tactics, whatever, responsibility falls on you. If you're the England manager and you're, deserving to lose the second game against Denmark, and we didn't, and when we play the first game against Serbia and you're struggling through that one, they should have questions asked of you, and they don't, and the media doesn't. They start doing this whole stuff again. Well, Gareth would have learned a lot today. How about he stops learning? How about he stops?
Well, you know what? I will. Do you know what though? I will say this. I do feel like the pundits and the media. Well, maybe not the written media and stuff like that, but like show says there about Kelly Summers, which I'll read that out in a second.
Yeah,
she was really good. I thought Rio said it as it was. I thought Gary Lineker. When they asked him straight, look, Gary, you've played up front. When they're talking about Harry Kane, this, that, he doesn't press, but he drops deep, but he gets you goals. What do you think, Gary, as the host? He went, nah. If I'm Harry, if I'm Gareth, I'm saying I need more from you, Harry. I need more from you, mate.
Even that pisses me off because what annoys me about it is before the game, let's not pretend they didn't know that. They knew those kind of things before the game and they just refused to talk about them. Everyone's been saying about Trent. Everyone's been saying about Foden. Everyone's been saying about Trippier. And before
they wanted to give it one more game.
And before the game, and even before the Serbia game, they just give off excuses. They just start going, well, against lesser teams, it'll be okay. And I saw Micah Richards before the game tried to justify picking the same starting 11 when he went, well, I thought he would make some changes to that because it didn't really work against Serbia, but I'm glad he stuck to his convictions. Well done, Gaff. And I'm going, do me a favour.
I'll tell you what, Gary Neville was the one who really put his head above the pulpit and said, listen, I know that Gareth's picked his team and had it, how he wants it, but now he's gone a little bit more attacking and stuff. It has not worked. He has to compromise because there's two games there and there's two massive warning signs. It ain't working, mate. It ain't working. You got to park the egos, you got to park the names, and you got to get the balance of this team right. And then he spoke about Rice in depth about how he can't play that position, or he's not, as a thoroughbred 6, it's not his best role.
Well, yeah, he mentioned that Arteta's actually moved him to get Jorginho in, and he said, actually, he looks really uncomfortable now. He's
because and again, when you dissect the game and look at the actual profile of players about what they're really good at, what they're not so good at. Exactly that. That's what the top managers do. And Gary's right. The way he articulated it, and if Arsenal fans will tell you exactly that. Jorginho is a thoroughbred 6. If you've got the ball, he'll make angles. He'll dictate. He can pass between the lines. He can receive the ball in tight areas and keep things ticking. Declan Rice isn't as comfortable doing that. Like he's better further up as well. But he can cover a lot of ground to put fires out. But as a thoroughbred 6, he won't set the play from that deep. He won't get you on the front foot. Like he can't pass like Carrick. Do you know what I mean? Like he couldn't go collect the ball off the back 4 and start, threading passes through the lines. Having some sort of some pace and zip on the passes to get us playing. He can't do that either. So the balance is just way off in midfield. Harry Kane, whatever your whatever his instruction is to Harry Kane of,
Don't
you know,
touch
when
the
we're
ball.
under the cosh, get back in our box and get a touch. So we've got no one up front. Ollie Watkins came on and within 4 seconds made a run
Ran in
going
behind.
that way.
Yeah.
You know, and Jude was further back next to Rice at that point and played that ball. Like you got a small little snippet at any time, which was few and far between. Just a little bit of press, a little bit of going from the front. We forced them into a couple of mistakes, but it's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Sanil, thank you for the contribution. Big up to you, Sanil. And United One says, with flex on this, mistake to not have Rashi on the bench. Rash at his worst can still get you a goal. Example, brilliant goal versus City, although all he did. And tournaments are a little bit like that, and especially that you don't even need to be good. You just need, something. Show says Kelly Solomons had Southgate on the ropes, body shot after body shot. They were about to throw in the towel, but Kelly showed mercy. You always want the interviewers to sort of don't let them off the hook. And she was like, "Are you telling us to drop off after we score?"
Yeah.
He was like, "No, I'm not." He's like, "Trent took him off early. Does that show experiment's not working?" Like, she was good. She was good.
Yeah. And also, just to steer it back to sort of Manchester United or the Manchester United spin on this, I know that there has been this discussion, hasn't there, about with Ineos, they've always liked Gareth. They've always admired him. I once again would say, in what reality do you admire him? And what you are seeing every single week? And again, this is not new. This isn't a new phenomenon. It's not like, I'll tell you what, England, but they've been great for years. This is really surprising what's happening here. If Ineos even dared, because I know there's still this kind of theory, isn't there, about, well, what if Eric doesn't last, if the season starts badly, by that point Gareth would have left England, whatever. That is a fucking joke, Flex. Yeah, it is. In what reality?
Surely it wasn't a thing. But they did
like
him. They do like him.
That's what I was saying. I was like, it must be like the big bad boogeyman kind of situation. That there's just no way. And then again, once again, the media at the time. Do you remember at the time? I think it was Ian Wright that was going, "Well, he's got the stature. He got the stature of being a Man United manager. Stature? What?
Tall, isn't it? 6 foot plus.
Yeah, stature. And even the pros that they were trying to give him, like, but he's handled the media quite well. It's all right to handle the media quite well when they're all being nice to you. Go sit in the chair at Carrington. See how nice they'll be to you. Just ask Erik ten Hag how nice they'll be. Let's ask that question. Let's see what happens then. Let's also see, even if he was successful at United, which he wouldn't be, by the way. Let's see what happens when he's asked
which he wouldn't be, by the way.
Negative questions right afterwards. Well done, Gareth. You won the game. Why are you so shit? That kind of thing. Let's see what happens with that. I mean, you
know what was funny? The people who really
a hint of it, Flex. If there's even a hint of that being true. Oh
yeah, I know. Well, the rivals were begging for it to be, you're linked to Robbie, like I said on all show. Gareth Southgate. You know what I mean? You better mind yourself, mate. You linked to Gareth Southgate. That's what media says, mate. You linked to Gareth Southgate. You better watch I said, you would just love it to be him. They all would. They would have loved it. And then they've just switched it to, look at them idiots keeping Eric. Lovely. Hopefully AGT hope they give him a 10-year deal. All this, So they're always looking to hate on us, but essentially the Gareth Southgate thing.
They spoke to Roberto Martinez, apparently, didn't they? According to the Athletic.
Oh, man. To be fair, it looks like they just left no stone unturned. Like even the shit ones.
But that's
even if you look under it and you know what's going to be, there's a pebble.
You go, is that gravel?
It's a shell.
Oh, Martinez. That's what that was.
Martinez.
We'd have two. I saw a clip. I don't know if you've seen this, and you let me know in the chat if you've seen this. It's brilliant. Of Paul Merson on Soccer Saturday. And this is like a decade ago. And he goes, "The problem is with Martinez, yeah, I'm watching the game and I'm thinking Everton are rubbish. Then you watch him afterwards, and it's like the Men in Black thing. You go, click. They played well. They played well.
Neuralizer, mate.
They played well. And you know what? He's so right. That is so true. I know Paul Merson can have some pretty wild takes, but it's so spot on with Roberto Martinez. You hear him talk about football because there's a lot of punditry and you go, I tell you what, he's bloody good. And then you watch his teams play and you go, they're shit. This is rubbish. And then he does a post-match interview and you go, hey, not too bad, knows his stuff, man. Do the rubbish. Well, he knows his own stuff, man. It's all right.
It's because he talks a good game. He talks a good game in it. But I tell you what, though, when I was on Talksport with the Hatchman, Kevin Hatchard, came on, and he was like, he said he thinks that Martinez has got a bit of a harsh ride, and your ears prick up when someone like him, who knows so much about the European game and stuff. So I thought, let me listen to his points, and he was like, well, I think that stick to beat him with the Belgium thing is a bit harsh, because he was like, well, okay, it's the golden generation with Belgium, but were they ever the best team in the world? No. Did they, when they went out to tournaments, they went out to eventual winners. And he did well with the squad to get the belief there, and he's a really good manager and stuff like that. He just gave a different side, because obviously we always say, "Oh, shit, mate." But he just pushed back on that and was like, "No, I think he actually gets a harsh ride. I think we gassed. What we did was overgassed that Belgium setup, like they were better than France. No, there wasn't.
Belgium,
that's why they lost to France.
They got a lot of interpersonal problems, didn't they? That whole squad was a bit of a mess with rivalries and sort of factions and stuff like that. But yeah, I suppose it's just more, again, with Ineos. That is why I think, in fairness, that's why I think people do have kind of the side eye just for a little bit with that kind of stuff going, you really admire Gareth Southgate, do you? That's a bit alarming. That's a red, you know what I mean? Old school red flag. Big one. Big red flag. Whether or not there's, again, anything in it, maybe the interest that they maybe had, their fringe interest would greatly disappear after this European Championships. I don't know, but it's so scary. I mean, we spoke about on the Trinity last Friday. Like, if that was ever a possibility, I don't actually know what I would do, Flex. Like, I might just have to stop coming on the channel. I think I don't know what I'd be able to do.
Well,
I couldn't do press conferences anymore. I definitely couldn't.
You'd have to.
I wouldn't. I'd sit in silence.
We can't just stop.
I'd have to just sit in silence.
So what? When he wins a game, you'd be one of them fans like, "Well, I don't like."
No, because I don't do that with England. I don't. Exactly. I mean, I still celebrate. Still hope England win. Still hope. You hope to be proved wrong, don't you? You don't want to be like, "Oh, I was right." Yes, I was right. You're all idiots. It's just like more. Oh, I'm right.
Yeah, you don't want to be right.
I was right on that one. It's like,
well, mate, Harry Kane said, "Listen, people got onto us when we drew 0-0 in the group stages with Scotland. We did that, and it happens in tournament football. And we went on to get to the final. If we get to the final, will you care that we had that shit game against Denmark?"
I cared that we lost the final last time, Flex. I still haven't emotionally really recovered from that. In fact,
yeah, but we didn't lose the final because we drew with Scotland in a dead game.
We lost the final because Gareth Southgate.
Yeah, he's rubbish.
Yeah.
And if we play anybody a bit better, because let's not get twisted. With all respect to these teams, because like I said, Denmark probably should beat us. We played Denmark and Serbia.
Yeah.
And looks like that. If we have to play any level above that, toast. Even Slovenia is going to be like that.
And we had a good run. We had, as has been the case with Gareth Southgate, yeah. Whenever we play a good team, or a good or well-coached team, we lose. We will lose.
What's our path? You got the wall chart. What happens if we finish top? Then we avoid Germany.
We're still in that case where the Euros one's a bit more difficult because there's a lot of third-place teams and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I think I saw something saying that Portugal and Germany might face each other in the quarterfinals or something like that.
Oh, that'd be good.
Or is it Spain and Germany? It might be Spain and Germany. I'll have a look. But because I mentioned about coaches, I think Germany could go all the way because of their coach.
They look settled. Yeah.
They've got a very, very good coach. Well, obviously, really good players. But in international football, actually having a
and
good
home advantage as well
is a massive. It's a real big thing.
Who do you think? What Man United player at the Euros, and this is to you guys as well, will have like the best tournament out of the United players that are there? So Bruno, Rasmus, Eriksen, Dalot, Luke Shaw. Could Luke Shaw come in after the group stages and be like, we're like, oh bloody hell, look, we needed that? Or who else is there? I don't think Kobe Mainy's even going to get a chance.
Well, it's not just obviously just the Euros. I think Copa America started last night.
Yeah, Copa America.
Sandro Martinez played. They won 2-0. So you have to keep an eye out for them as the tournament progresses there. As far as the Euros, which Man United player could have the best tournament? Not really a lot of them playing, is there? You know what I mean?
It's probably
Probably Bruno. He was good. He was pretty good again when they played the other day.
He put in some great balls into the box.
McTominay, as Leo says.
Mate.
But if anything's going to happen with Scotland, it's Scott McTominay. Yeah. But even watching that, why on earth is 6'4" Scott McTominay
taking
corners and set pieces? Are you taking the piss? What kind of Harry Kane and Phil Jones on corner tactics is that? That is madness.
This is what I mean, mate. Football's gone. People call me old school and say, "Oh, you did it." This new age football is just gone, mate. It's just gone.
The goal they scored was from a corner from the opposition team. Who headed the corner away? McTominay, because he's tall and he wins headers in the box. And then they went up the other end and he scored. It's like, what?
Honestly, there you go. There you go. In the managers we trust. Busy day at UVHQ. We've got the Trinity later on today, 6 p.m. What games are there today, Owen?
Oh, it's the Netherlands versus France.
Ooh, game. What time's that one?
8 o'clock.
Oh, I'm not gonna.
There's 2 other games before that, but they're not as obviously high profile as that one. But still, Netherlands versus France later on. Mbappe looks like he's going to play. He's got his mask.
Mask is Zora, mate.
But it's weird because he's got his mask that he's been using in training. The one with the France mask. It's got the Mbappe branding and also the thing merchandise.
Made that quick.
Merch. Yeah. But he can't wear that one in the match. You have to wear just a plain coloured one. So, yeah, that's not going to happen. But it looks like he probably will be involved. Other games, you've got Slovakia versus Ukraine at 2 p.m. Now, you would say, like, oh, that one's going to be a bit of a dud, but a lot of the matches have been a dud thus far, so you never know what you're going to get. And then, a bit of a sleeper, this one. This could actually be very, very good. Poland versus Austria at 5 o'clock. 2 sides are actually quite impressed. Ralph's Austria impressed, and Poland actually did all right too. So,
yeah, they did.
Be some interesting ones.
Interesting games, right? So log in, get involved. Trinity coming to you at 6 o'clock. And then, of course, like you said, that big one at 8 o'clock with the Netherlands taking on France. Massive, massive game. And the Trinity, like I said, get involved, man, because it's going to be a good one. Right. Smash the like on the video, guys. Subscribe to the channel for new. Let me check that I've done all the housekeeping. Yep. Super chats are all good. Right. Big up to you guys. We'll see you later on during the day. Take care. Peace.